Hi, I'm Alina Mendez. I am an assistant professor in the American Ethnic Studies Department at the University of Washington, Seattle, and I am a Mellon Fellow at SAR this academic year. I will be discussing my work on Wednesday, October 7 at 2 p.m. Mountain Time. I hope you join us for the presentation and the Q&A session that will follow it. My book manuscript, which I'm working on this academic year as a resident scholar at SAR, challenges popular assumptions about the meaning of cheap labor. In academia and in popular culture, ethnic Mexicans have been long regarded as cheap labor for the low wages that Mexican immigrants in particular have received since the early 20th century. I challenge this assumption by focusing on a region in the US-Mexico borderlands that was radically transformed by the Bracero Program. This was a binational guest worker agreement that imported Mexican agricultural workers to the US. It began in 1942 when the US joined World War II and continued until 1964. What I hope I'm showing with this study is that there is no such thing as cheap labor. And when we think about cheap labor, we can still see the examples of, this misconception today. As I mentioned, I worked at UW Seattle, and in Washington State, for example, we can still see the ways in which agribusiness is still cheapening the labor of farm workers with deplorable housing, poor working conditions. Today, farm workers are still paying the price of their cheap labor, laboring, with the threat of COVID, laboring under the threat of wildfires. I hope you join us on October 7 to hear more about how and why farm workers are still paying the price of their cheap labor.